Hey there! Did you know that 40% of people will abandon a website if it takes longer than 3 seconds to load? My name's Tyler Horvath. I'm the owner and CEO of Titan Media, and today I'm going to tell you 5 ways that you can have a faster website. So why have a fast website? Well, first of all, as I mentioned before, 40% of people will abandon a site if it takes longer than 3 seconds to load. So user experience is a big factor when it comes to site speed. You probably know from experience, if you go to a website and it takes super long to load, you leave. Why stay at a website and wait for it to load? It's 2017, 2018. Websites should be super fast, and we want to see what we want to see when we want to see it. We don't want to wait a long time. So if your website loads longer than 3 seconds and it takes longer to load than that, then you really need to watch this video and implement these things I'm about to tell you. And you will see a big increase in both the user experience of your website as well as SEO factors. Google now looks at site speed as a ranking factor for websites. So if your website is slow, you're not only losing customers, but you're losing rank in Google. So I'm going to tell you 5 things that you can do to fix this. The first thing is the most important and the most simple that a lot of people don't get right. And it's having good hosting. I can't stress this one enough. A lot of my clients want to use GoDaddy or Bluehost, super cheap servers like that are, $10 a month, $5 a month. Now, the problem with these are, a lot of them are shared servers. So you're literally on a server with thousands of other people using resources, fighting for resources, and your website's just not going to be fast that way. When you want to look at hosting, you want to try and stay away from shared. Now, I know hosting can get super expensive, but you can get decent hosting, for around $10 to $15 a month. I would just stay away from anything that is like $5, $10 or below. You want to stay away from that because it's probably not going to be fast, and you're going to be on a server with a ton of other people. Now, if you're super serious about your website, I would look at VPS, which is a virtual private server. So this is kind of your own server, but it's virtual only. Or you can look at dedicated servers. And this is what we have at Titan Media. This is your own server in a server farm somewhere. So we have our servers in Michigan, and we have a whole rack of servers that are just for us. So no one else is on the server except us and our clients, which makes it super fast, and there's not a bunch of people fighting for resources. Now, I'll try and stick with these two if you're really getting a lot of traffic and you're wanting to really have a fast website. I would try and stick with these two, but VPS is a great way to start. You can get a VPS for like 20 bucks a month. It's totally worth the price that you're paying compared to the $5 one. You're going to see a lot more improvements in both your user experience and your SEO value. So, what if you already do have pretty good hosting? Well, there's a few other things that you can do to increase the speed of your website. The next thing is image optimization. So a lot of people will just throw huge images on their website, and images take a long time to load. Big images can be 2, 3, 4, 5 megabytes or up, and that's way too big for your website. You need to make sure that all your images are below 1 megabyte, or they're going to take a really long time to load, which will make the load time of your website a lot longer. So make sure that when you're using images, you try and stick away from JPEG and use PNG. It's a little bit lower quality, but the user's not really going to notice it, and you're going to see a big increase in the lower sizes and faster loading with PNGs. So make sure you do an audit of your images and make sure that none of them are super big, and this will help increase the speed of your website. So I wanted to mention too, now that we're talking about this, a great way to test your website speed is tools.pingdom.com. And I'll post this in the video comments below, so you can just click on the link and check it out. It's just a simple website testing tool, and it will tell you the speed of your website, and it will show you all the resources and how long they take to load. So you can see all your images, etc., and you can sort and see which ones are the biggest and try to decrease those. Now there's a lot more that you can do with images to increase the speed. I'm not going to get too in depth with it, but you can do like image sprites where you combine all your images into one actual image, and you use CSS to show and position the image, based on what piece of that little sprite that you want to use. But that's pretty advanced. If you have good hosting and you're optimizing your images, you shouldn't need to use sprites. But if you're looking for even more speed, that's something that you can do as well. So the next thing is caching. So caching is pretty much saving a version of a page or a website on the server and showing that page or website to the user. So pretty much it's loading an old version of a page, and this helps, instead of having to dynamically create the page every time and call all those resources, pull all those images and the JS, it will cache the page and kind of save it into a static file, and it will pull that page back up whenever someone else requests it. So it will only reset itself, every X hours or whatever. So it can strongly increase the load time just by showing a static page instead of having to pull all the stuff from the database, pull all the stuff from everywhere. It really speeds up that process. Now there's a couple different kinds of caching that you can do, and I recommend using both of these. There's browser cache, and that is pretty much just caching of your browser. And then there's server cache, and this is caching on the server side. So you can actually implement both of these to get super fast websites. Now, if you're using like WordPress, there's some great caching plugins that you can use. We use W3 Total Cache a lot, and it allows you to do both browser and server caching depending on what server you're on. But most servers allow you to enable this. But with these two, you can see some huge improvements. This is probably the biggest one there is as far as increasing your speed besides having good hosting. And it's also important to mention that if you are using good hosting, they will more likely allow caching. If you have, the really cheap GoDaddy sites, a lot of those don't have this option available. So make sure that you're caching your web pages, and that will increase the speed of your website a lot. So the next thing is optimizing your external files, your CSS, and your JavaScript. So these resources, they can take a lot of space and a lot of bandwidth on your server. Having to load the page and pull these external JavaScript files and pull the CSS and pull the JSS and run all that takes a lot of resources. So the more external files, the more JavaScript, the more CSS that you have on your website, the longer it's going to take to load that. So what you can do is a few things. You can compress all of these using gzip compression, and that will make them load a lot faster. You can also combine them and minify them. So if you have a ton of JS files, they're all different, it's smarter to combine them and then minify it, so it takes all the unneeded characters out, and this can save a lot of space on the server, and it will take a lot less time to load as well. So if you're using WordPress, again, there's a lot of plugins that will do this already. I mentioned W3 Total Cache. That will do this as well. It will minify your files, it will combine your files, and compress them as well. So if you're using WordPress, you have a big advantage as far as caching goes, and the simplicity of setting it up. If you're using, if you're like have a custom site or whatever, you're probably gonna have to have your dev team or whoever's programming it to implement this technology. So the last thing is, if none of this is making your website speed up and you want a little bit more speed, I recommend trying a CDN. So CDN stands for Content Delivery Network. So this is a server somewhere where you host your files that's super fast, and it will you can pull your files from that server. which will decrease your server load time and increase your website speed. So pretty much it's like hosting your stuff in a cloud somewhere that's a lot faster than your server, and it will pull that in instead of having to get it from your own server, which will make your site a lot faster. So I hope these 5 ways to increase your website speed have helped. I'd love to hear any comments about increases in speed below. You can also ask me any questions that you have below in the comments, and I will be happy to answer them and give you as much knowledge as I can and as I know about websites and making them faster. So if you like this video, be sure to follow me. I'm always posting good content like this. I love sharing my knowledge of online business. And thanks. Have a great day.